Our story begins billions of years ago. Imagine a vast, swirling cloud of gas and dust. This was the nursery of our solar system. Gravity, the great sculptor of the cosmos, began to pull this material together. As the cloud collapsed, it started to spin, much like a figure skater pulling in their arms to spin faster. At the center of this spinning disk, the sun ignited. The leftover clumps of dust and rock became the planets, including our own Earth. They inherited that original spin. Earth has been turning ever since, a constant, reliable dance partner in the cosmic ballet, a motion that defines every moment of our existence. This spin is not just an ancient habit, it is a fundamental force shaping our planet. Think of Earth as a giant spinning top. It completes one full turn about every 24 hours. This rotation gives us the familiar rhythm of day and night. It is the metronome to which life has learned to march. Without this constant turning, the world we know would be completely alien. The spin is woven into the very fabric of our atmosphere, our oceans, and the ground beneath our feet. This perpetual motion is a gift from the universe, a key ingredient for the flourishing of life on our small blue world. So, why doesn't it stop? The answer lies in the emptiness of space. Out here, there is almost nothing to slow Earth down. There is no air resistance, no friction to act as a brake on our planet's momentum. It is like a perfectly balanced wheel spinning in a vacuum. It just keeps going. This persistence of motion, what scientists call inertia, ensures that our planet continues its journey, turning on its axis without pause. This reliable rotation has provided the stability necessary for life to evolve over billions of years, creating the predictable cycles that all living things depend upon for survival and growth. The speed of this spin is incredible. At the equator, the surface of the Earth is moving at over 1,600 kilometers per hour, about 1,000 miles per hour. We don't feel it because everything else, the atmosphere, the oceans, the buildings, and we ourselves, is moving along with it. It is like being in a fast-moving airplane. You don't feel the speed because you and everything inside the plane are traveling together. This shared momentum creates a sense of stillness. But what if that shared journey came to a sudden screeching halt? What if the solid Earth hit the brakes while everything else kept going? Imagine you are in a car speeding down the highway. Suddenly, the car slams on its brakes. You would be thrown forward violently. Now, imagine this on a planetary scale. If the Earth's crust suddenly stopped spinning, everything not securely anchored to the bedrock would continue moving at that original speed of over 1,600 kilometers per hour. The air, the water, the trees, the buildings, and every living creature would be swept off the surface in a catastrophic supersonic wave. It would be the most powerful force imaginable, a global scouring event that would erase civilization in an instant. The atmosphere itself would become a weapon. The air, which normally moves with us, would suddenly become a planet-wide windstorm, far more powerful than any hurricane ever recorded. This immense wall of wind would pulverize everything in its path. Mountains might stand, but cities would be turned to dust and rubble, scattered across the continents. Forests would be flattened, and topsoil would be stripped away, leaving behind a barren, scoured landscape. It would be an extinction event of unparalleled speed and ferocity, a physical shockwave that would make the impact of an asteroid seem gentle by comparison. The oceans would not be spared. They too carry immense momentum. As the solid planet stopped, the world's oceans would surge forward, creating tsunamis of unimaginable size. These colossal waves, miles high, would wash over every continent, traveling far inland and submerging everything under a turbulent, churning sea. No coastline would be safe. The sheer force of this water would reshape the land itself, carving new canyons and erasing old landmarks. The world would be engulfed in a global flood, a final, devastating consequence of breaking the planet's ancient rhythm. In these first few moments, the sound would be deafening. The roar of the wind, the grinding of rock, and the crash of continent-sized tsunamis would create a symphony of destruction. The immense friction generated by the atmosphere and oceans scraping across the stationary ground would heat the surface to incredible temperatures. Fires would ignite everywhere, consuming the debris left in the wake of the wind and waves. In less than a minute, the vibrant, living surface of the Earth would be transformed into a sterile, hellish landscape, a testament to the awesome power of motion. After the initial chaos subsided, a new and strange reality would set in. The Earth would no longer have a 24-hour day. Instead, it would still orbit the sun, but it would not spin on its axis. This means one day would last an entire year. For 6 long months, one side of the planet would face the sun, enduring continuous, unrelenting daylight. During this time, the sun would appear to hang almost motionless in the sky, slowly crawling from one horizon to the other over the course of half a year. Life on this side of the planet would be a relentless ordeal of light and heat. On the sun-facing side, temperatures would soar to scorching levels. Without the cooling relief of night, the ground would bake, water would boil away, turning vast regions into desolate, cracked deserts far hotter than anything we know today. Any surviving life would have to contend with extreme heat and lethal levels of solar radiation. The constant daylight would disrupt the fundamental biological clocks of any organisms that might have miraculously weathered the initial cataclysm. It would be a world trapped in a permanent, brutal summer, a landscape bleached and sterilized by an unblinking star. Meanwhile, the other half of the planet would be plunged into an equally long and brutal night. For 6 months, this side would face the cold, empty void of space. Without the sun's warmth, temperatures would plummet to unimaginable lows, far colder than the harshest Antarctic winter. The atmosphere would freeze, and gases like carbon dioxide and nitrogen might even snow down onto the surface. This dark side would become a cryogenically frozen wasteland, a world entombed in ice and darkness, where the stars would shine with a brilliant, steady clarity against a black sky. The transition between these two extremes would be a narrow band of perpetual twilight. In this terminator zone, the sun would forever hover near the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows. This twilight strip would be the only place on the planet with potentially moderate temperatures. It would be a world of eternal dawn, or eternal dusk. Perhaps in this thin sliver of land between the furnace and the freezer, some form of life might find a way to cling to existence, forever migrating to stay within the habitable zone, a nomadic journey on a broken world. The loss of Earth's spin would completely reshape its geography. The centrifugal force from our rotation causes the planet to bulge slightly at the equator. Without this force, gravity would take over and pull the planet into a more perfect sphere. This change would cause the oceans, no longer held in place by rotational forces, to migrate away from the equator and toward the poles. Water would flood the polar regions, creating 2 massive polar oceans. In their place, a single, gigantic supercontinent would emerge, wrapping around the planet's equator like a belt. This new world would have a completely alien weather system. On our spinning Earth, the Coriolis effect, a product of rotation, creates the swirling patterns of hurricanes and cyclones. Without it, weather would become much simpler and far more extreme. Air on the hot, sun-facing side would rise and flow directly toward the cold, dark side in a straight line. This would create a single, massive convection cell, resulting in constant, powerful winds blowing from the hot hemisphere to the cold one. These winds would be relentless, a permanent global gale moving between the 2 extreme temperature zones. Life, as we know it, would be impossible. The extreme temperatures, the global supercontinent, the massive polar oceans, and the constant winds would create an environment hostile to almost every organism. Perhaps some extremophiles, microbes that thrive in harsh conditions, could survive deep underground or in the frigid depths of the new polar seas. But the complex ecosystems of forests, jungles, and reefs would vanish. The planet would become largely barren, a stark monument to the delicate balance required to sustain a biosphere. The green and blue marble would be gone forever. Thinking about such a scenario reminds us of how precious and unique our planet's conditions are. The simple, constant act of spinning is not just a feature of our world. It is the engine of its stability and the cradle of its life. It creates the gentle cycle of day and night, drives our weather, shapes our continents, and provides the rhythm for all living things. Our planet's ceaseless turning is a cosmic gift, a perfect and graceful dance that makes Earth a haven in the vast, silent cosmos. We live on a dynamic, spinning world, and in that motion we find our home.